Last time,
the group manages to get back home, but not before finding Zelane's treasure room, finding and using a magical axe that sends them through space and time, having a gunfight with some dragon dogs, and finding out that Christopherson had turned Zelane into a vampire fire giant.
2 waves had a race. Who won? Neither. They tied.
Dungeons and Dragons and Daughters.
welcome everyone to another terrific episode of Dungeons and Dragons and Daughters. I'm Kurt Daddy, the Dungeon Master, and to my left we have...
My name is Sam, and I play Mimi.
The druid.
Elf.
The elf druid, yes. And to your left we have...
Bertie, who also plays Gallexsy, who is a wizard.
And also an elf.
Moon elf.
And is Mimi's sidekick.
I'm really suspicious.
Pacific?
Specific.
Specific.
And I am not a sidekick. I am my own person.
That's right.
And to my left, I have
Surfer Boy.
Yeah, Matt playing
Surfer
Dave,
Boy.
Everybody's favorite half elf. I mean, halfling. Oh, man.
This is going to be a rough one.
Halfling cleric.
We are a 5th edition D&D actual play podcast. So thanks for tuning in and listening to us, everyone. It's been a while since we got together.
Yeah.
We had illness, we had schedules, we have work,
Spring
we have
break.
life, we have things that just get in the way.
Play.
Yep.
I feel the need to call out. Last time I had mentioned people overseas that were listening to us and how much we love them and for tuning in. But I think that I forgot to mention that we had a number of listeners in Australia. I mentioned New Zealand last time, but did not mention Australia. We have just as many downloads, if not more, from Australia.
Oh, that's awesome.
Also want to call out Canada as well. We get lots of downloads from folks in Canada.
How
Don't
about the United
want our
States?
Canadian and Australian listeners to feel left out after that. No slight was intended when I was mentioning people
How about
overseas.
the United States?
Most of our listeners are in the United States.
Okay.
I just love the idea of people around the world listening to
Heck
us.
yeah, that's awesome.
Listening to my daughter's screechy voices all over the globe.
Screechy voices, muffled
People-
because they're too far away from the
Listen,
microphone.
people love Screech.
They do not
You mean
love
the character,
Screech.
the beloved character of Screech from Saved by the Bell? Because people do love Screech.
So no 5-star reviews. Well, we did have some 5-star reviews, but we were asked not to read them because there were people that know us and didn't realize when they would leave those reviews for us that we would actually read them out. So we will respect their wishes and let them stay anonymous with that. But we did get some comments on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. This one was from John316 DAV. John316 Dave, maybe? Not sure. I just want to say I have just recently been introduced to the show. I'm loving it so far. I think that this is a great idea for families to spend time together and have fun. Now that I've seen how well this has been going, I'm excited to try this with my kids someday when they are old enough. I've been playing both the podcast in my car and watching the episodes at home when I am not out and about. I just about lost it when Mimi conjured the dinosaur. DM Dad, thank you for allowing that to happen. I have not laughed so hard at an event happening during a campaign in all my tabletop RPG hours. This show is great. Can't wait to get caught up with the adventure and see where the girls go from here. Definitely will be sharing this with my D&D group.
It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John316 Dave, for that.
Why is your name Dave?
Dave is
Maybe Dave's his
it's a
favorite.
fairly common name. There's lots of Daves in the world.
Like, couldn't you pick something else than Dave?
Something more creative. Well, if anything, then maybe it's his parents that were not very creative. If you really wanted him to get a different name.
No, but it's a good name, just maybe.
I agree. It is a great name.
Yes, but
So, yeah, it's been a while. So let's get into it. Let's play Dungeons and Dragons. So, recap a little bit, girls. Do you remember where we left off? It's been a while.
I remember.
So you had just transported yourself away from the fire giant Zelane's stronghold, who you found out had
Vampire fire giant
had also been turned into a vampire fire giant by Christofferson. You had used the dwarven axe relic that was in Zelane's treasure room to transport you through space and time back to Mount Olympus.
And we got a curse.
That's true. Yes, you know that that three of you would have been cursed for using that. You don't know exactly what that curse was, but you seem to be not too troubled by it because Dave has the ability to lift curses. So
But he can't do it on himself.
we'll see what the repercussions of that and see what it is that Dave can do to mitigate that.
Yay!
You arrived at the top of Mount Olympus during the day. You get greeted by the warm, dry weather of the desert that this mountain range is in. And things have changed at Mount Olympus since the last time that you were here. The biggest change that you see right in front of you is that the large opening that led down into the heart of the mountain has now been covered up by a small fortress. A dwarven-built fortress that has 6 dwarven guards standing out in front of it that lower their halberds at you. A halberd is basically a big axe on the end of a long pole. It's like a pole arm with an axe head at the end of it. And they point these weapons at you, and one of them yells out, "Who goes there?"
Mimi.
So before we get into that, one of the things that I'm going to do a little bit differently with this episode, so this is a little bit of a maintenance episode as well, because there's lots of things that have been building up that we haven't gotten to. So I'm going to try and move things along a little bit faster, along the lines of what it is that you want to do. We're going to have some progression of time that's happening with it. Just because I want to try and move the story along as much as I can. We spent so much time in the last arc, which was great, which was a lot of fun. But just looking at the overall timeline, I'd like to move things along a little bit faster in these portions of the story.
Life can be very slow, though. It can.
So, but we will stop and we will role play and we will roll a dice.
And we'll time travel through time.
if you want.
And we will make stuff faster and we will defeat Christofferson. I think that's his name. And
Christofferson, yep.
And this whole thing will end. Ta-da!
Right. So I'm going to try a couple of things out with this. We'll see if it works or not to move through it. But yeah, you are now back in Mount Olympus. And now all of a sudden there's these new dwarves, soldiers that are there that are barring the entrance to it. So what is it that you would like to do now that you are back in Mount Olympus after so long?
I want to get a pet dog.
Yeah, I might need to do some
No,
shopping.
I want
Okay.
to actually get a pet bunny.
You want to get a pet bunny? Okay. What? You want
corgi?
You want to see if you can find a pet
Remember,
corgi.
you're making your corgi munchkins.
Okay.
Corgi munchkins.
Oh, yeah, making a Frankenstein corgi.
So before we get into that, I do want you to get past these guards. These dwarven guards. They have no idea who you are. They yelled out, "Who are you? Who goes there?"
We are friends of the musketeers.
I'm Mimi, and I am a musketeer. And this is Surfer Boy, the other musketeer.
Gosh, my name is Dave, gall darn it.
No,
Michigal, bless me.
I am also a musketeer.
her name is. She's my sidekick, Gallexsy.
No, my name is Gallexsy. And where's Beth?
Mimi, Gallexsy, and Dave, the three musketeers.
That's right.
Yes.
But Dave's also known as Surfer Boy. I mean, I kind of like it better, boy.
You like it better than the name my mother gave me?
Yeah. So Mimi, because you're doing most of the talking, I want you to roll a persuasion check, but do it with advantage because I would say that Dave and Gallexsy are helping you with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what is it?
Persuasion.
We are not helping her with this because she's all on her own. And
No.
we
I got
want
the same
her to
rolls.
die.
I got 2 of the same rolls.
Well, what did you get?
15.
15. Okay.
Do you have anything to add to your persuasion?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
That's sad.
All right. So the one guy is like, "Oh my gosh, you've been gone for 3 months. What have you been all this time? Please come on in. There's lots of people that want to talk to you."
We time traveled.
No,
We've been traveling
this
space and
vampire teleported us to this crazy place.
It's only through the grace of Mishikal that we're speaking right now.
And who is holding the axe right now?
Dave.
No, I thought that Gallexsy had it.
Dave.
Sure, Dave's got it.
Dave.
So the dwarves, the guards, as you start moving in, all of them start staring at you, Dave, and they're staring very openly and agape at the large axe that is in your hands. And they're like, "Where did you get that?"
Well, we found it in a giant's treasure hoard. We used it to travel through space and time to come home again. We had been transported back in time.
Do you know what that is?
Nope.
No, we were only told that it had the power to
Curse
bring us
us.
home.
And also, we got cursed. We think.
And yeah, we were told that it would curse us, but hopefully Mishikal can help with that.
But she said she probably wouldn't help us.
Well,
Then, well, she means
she
death.
meant like direct intervention, like saved us from dying when we fought the dragon.
Oh, we did die.
So some of the dwarves, they go off and they start whispering with themselves, but they let you through. And one of them goes actually running off ahead of you down the large staircase down into the heart of the mountain. So yes, you are inside Mount Olympus now. You are back home. You haven't been here in months. The 3 months that you were gone would be a bit of a surprise because you did not spend 3 months.
No.
In that other snowy place or under the mountain in Zelane's stronghold.
It was like a week maybe?
A week or two.
Yeah.
At most. So there's been a time shift, and well, that was enough time for these dwarves to erect this structure, this sort of guard tower over the opening into Mount Olympus. So now let's get to the things that you wanted to do.
I want to buy Pet Bunny.
You want a
I
Pet
want
Bunny?
to get an M&M cookie and a corky.
Yep, you wanted a corgi. So one thing I wanted to bring up to you, Gallexsy, is that you still have that magical book that you bought last time, and you haven't had a chance to use it. This was a tome for creating a golem, and it was for creating a flesh golem. So that means that you could create a minion if you wanted to. It's a strong creature that follows you around and protects you and does all of your bidding.
Can I do a very cute corgi that's on his legs?
Well, see,
But
that's
he's a minion.
that's the thing, is that the flesh golem is made from the parts of other dead creatures.
Yeah.
You have to sew them together and then imbue them with magic, and then they become alive. It's basically
Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein's monster. So, I suppose if you wanted to build out a dog or a corgi-like flesh golem, I would allow that, but you would have to spend some time in gathering up the body parts of dead dogs and corgis.
Try not to cry. Here it comes. Here it comes.
So that's what you want to do? You're really excited about it? You want to farm dead body parts from
Go to the dog cemetery.
the pet cemetery?
She's not crying.
Okay. Gallexsy, is that so it will take, it's supposed to take a significant amount of time to do this, but I'm going to allow you to be able to gather the materials and do the rituals that you need for it in a week's worth of time. So this is me jumping around a little bit. So it's like you're going to be in Mount Olympus for a week. And so to do some of the things that you want to do and catch up on some things, you could talk to people, you could go shopping for a pet bunny.
Okay, well, I would like to say that Dave would be very insistent about, like, we need to go somewhere quiet so that he can pray to Mishikal and try and lift the curse. So the description on the remove curse is, at your touch, all curses affecting one creature or object end. If the object is a cursed magic item, its curse remains, but the spell breaks its owner's attunement to the object, so it can be removed or discarded.
Okay.
So
What is the casting time on that?
it's just one action.
Oh, okay, so it's that quick.
Yeah. So yeah, Dave says basically like let's go back to our rooms. He takes the girls back to the rooms and they drop off their stuff, and then he
And then we go get Bunny.
Okay.
Mishikal, please spare us from the curse that this axe has on it.
All right, so who are you going to try it on first?
Me.
Yes.
Yay.
You can go on Mimi.
But
Okay.
she's not worth
Dear
it.
Mishakal.
Can you roll a perception check for me before you cast this?
Yep. Ooh. 7.
7. Okay. All right. So you get in front of Mimi. You start praying to Mishakal to lift this curse.
Please break the curse of this.
And do you have to roll anything for it, or is it just happens?
It just happens.
Okay.
At your touch. And
Okay.
And then move on to Gallexsy. Please also confer your blessing on Gallexsy, Mishakal.
Can you roll another perception check for me?
I'm the better one than Mimi.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. Okay. It's like the secret word on Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, right. Yeah, word of the day.
So one thing that you do notice about Gallexsy, because I think that she was the first one. I think she was the one that was originally holding and activating the axe.
Yeah, because she was the wizard. She had rolled like an Arcana check, and
Yep.
she was the one who like knew the most about being able to activate.
She had determined that all three of you would have to hold onto the axe at the
holding
same time to activate it and get transported. And looking at Gallexsy now, that's when you notice that she's just a hair shorter than what you remember. And like maybe she's just in the last day or so, it looks like maybe she put on a couple pounds. Like she's looking a little squatter.
How dare you!
And she's got just the littlest bit of like
Wrinkle.
peach fuzz
Just turning you into a dwarf.
on her cheeks. So, but you cast the spell, and you lift the curse, and you notice that goes away, and she just straightens up a little bit more. She thins down just a hair, just a little bit. But then that's when you realize that was the curse. If this axe, whoever wields it, would slowly be turned into a dwarf over a couple of days, unless they have a way to remove the curse.
Oh no!
And so then
Let's go get a pet bunny!
Dave says, and last but not least, Mishakal, if you could spare your loyal servant.
Dave, unfortunately, when you cast on yourself, you do feel a little bit of resistance to this. For whatever reason, you can't lift the curse right now.
Okay.
It's a powerful magical artifact that you know. It's not something that you should be too worried about. It's just something that maybe you try again later at another point in time.
Okay.
But you do notice that you are actually a little bit taller than you were before.
Right.
So you were turned into one
That's
also?
funny.
He was?
Like just a hair, like
Like me.
5 millimeters taller than what you were before. Like your clothes are just a little snugger than they were, but not uncomfortable.
I don't mind this so much. This is all right.
Let's go get a pet bunny.
Okay, so you want to go to the pet store and see if you can find a
So
pet
we
bunny.
walk to the pet store.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, you go to the pet store. Hi, may I help you?
I'm leaving. I want a pet bunny, Greg.
Hi, Mimi. Good to see you. Gallexsy, it's been a long time. Where have you guys been?
Nowhere. We were hiding from
A vampire transported us to this winter
We were hiding from you
wonderland.
because you're so annoying.
Oh. Okay.
That's a
Well,
little harsh.
have you gone to see Doc yet? I mean, I'm sure she'd be really happy to see you. Know what's going on?
I need a pet bunny.
Priorities. I get it. All right. Well, let me go back and see what I've got.
Corgi, please.
And
Wait, what?
a corgi. I don't know if I have any corgis, but let me take a look first. Okay, Mimi, I'm sorry, but yeah, we don't have any bunnies right now. But Gallexsy, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The bad news is that we don't have any corgis. The good news is that I guess it's not really good news, but I've got a bunch of dead corgis.
Oh man! Why would he want to tell
I
her
know.
that?
This is making a hard
Just
left turn.
wanted to make the flesh golem.
Right. So he's like, we had a shipment of corgis come in, but there was something wrong with them, and died.
They were DOA.
Oh, this is dark.
Yeah,
This is bad.
Please, I hate
And why would he
that.
just volunteer this information?
It's what I was
It's like, why would
wondering,
he
yeah.
advertise this to anybody?
Do you have
We don't have the breed you want alive, but we
Right.
got a bunch of dead ones out back.
What? Yeah, that's the good news. There's
Right.
a pile of dead bodies out back.
Does he
Great.
know I want to
Pile
make
of
a minion?
carcasses.
No, I'm just trying to move things along and get at what you.
Do you have any ducks?
Let me check. No ducks. No, if anything, we've got negative ducks.
Do you have a cat? Cats.
Let me check. No cats either.
How about a Yorkie?
The only thing that we have in this pet store is dead dogs.
How about a Yorkie Terrier?
A Yorkie Terrier. Okay, hold on. Yeah, we've got a Yorkie Terrier.
Buy it, please.
Is it dead or not?
No, it's alive. I hate that's a question that we have to ask now.
Oh man.
Is the pets you have alive or dead?
Dead pets?
Do you have elephants?
We do have an elephant.
I'll buy the Yorkie.
Yes, we do have a baby elephant in the back.
How much?
You know, I read something
How
that's...
much are the elephants? $100. I'll give you 100 coin for an elephant.
Well, no. Well, the elephant's really expensive. That's 10,000 gold for the baby elephant.
Put it on Dave's check.
I don't have that kind of money.
We don't sell things on credit here. It's like being that you're musketeers, though you do get a heavy discount. I mean, normally that elephant would be like 50,000 gold. You get like a 75% discount for being a musketeer.
Could you lower it?
You'd have to talk to Doc about that.
Let me think of some more pets.
How much is the Yorkie?
Well, the Yorkie that would be 1,000 gold.
I have that much. I have 1,305.
Okay. All right. Well, you're okay. Write in Yorkie Terrier into your character sheet. Write off the 1,000 gold pieces.
Where?
A chicken.
Where do I write it?
Yes, they have a chicken. Yeah, we have a chicken.
How much does the chicken cost?
Well, the chicken is like 2 gold pieces. It's just a chicken. There's nothing special about it.
Buy the chicken!
You gonna buy the chicken?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's your money.
So he hands you the chicken. Can you roll a acrobatics or an athletics check for me, whichever is better for you?
Why?
Because as soon as the chicken gets into your hands, it starts trying to jump out of them.
What is it?
Athletics or acrobatics, whichever you feel would be better for you.
Athletics would be better. I got 3.
You got a 3. Okay. So immediately the chicken it springs out of your hands and starts running around the shop.
No, but
And Greg's like, are you gonna do something about that chicken?
Don't you have any cages, Greg?
Oh yeah, I can sell you a cage if you like.
how much is the cage?
No, that'd be just 1 gold piece.
Here you go.
All right.
What am I gonna name my
But
Yorkie?
you still gotta catch that chicken. Can you roll another athletics for me? See if you can catch
Dave's
the
gonna
chicken.
help her.
Rocky style. Yeah. Okay. You
I
get.
got another.
Well, Dave's helping you, so you can roll advantage.
Okay.
Yeah. Roll again.
Okay, that's 13.
13.
Oh, it's 10 more.
Okay. So you grab the chicken, and the chicken just manages to squirm out of it, and now the chicken shoots out the front door. Okay. So you go chase it after the chicken. Thanks for coming. Okay. Yeah. You dive out the front door. Dive out the front door, one hand extended out. You're horizontal with the ground as you dive out, and you manage to grab both the chicken legs in one hand and just boom, you land, thump. Dust gets kicked out around you. You're breathing hard, but you manage to pick up the chicken. You've got the chicken upside down now
Dave
by
comes
its legs.
running out with the cage, and he's holding the door open.
Yep. You drop it into the cage, slam the lid up.
Slam the cage door closed. He puts it down. He leans again.
No. The chicken's gonna be Mr. Bok Bok.
Mr. Bok.
And then Dave looks up at Mimi and just bursts out laughing.
Mr. Bok. Okay.
What should I name my Yorkie? I know. Abby.
Abby the Yorkie. Abby Terrier.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mr. Bok Bok.
Okay, well write that down because I'm not going to keep track of that. Okay.
Mr. Bok Bok.
Of course, I don't have to tell them to write things down in their character sheet. They just
They
do
just
it.
do it whenever they want.
Right. So
They don't write down the things you tell them to. They only write down the stuff that they want in the moment.
that's true. So okay, so you've got your pets. You've named them now. And like the ponies, I'm not gonna. Well, I'll use them
pony.
however I see fit.
Yeah.
Because they could be interesting hooks, or things that you have to worry about, in the future. But I don't know if I'm willing to go so far as to say they're indestructible like the ponies are.
So when we're fighting
Except the chicken.
when we're fighting Christopherson at some point, and we're almost gonna die, Mr. Bokpak jumps out and scares Christopherson, and then we win.
Mr. Bokbok is going to be Mr.
gonna be
Bokbok
the
is going to
ultimate hero.
give that edge
Yep.
just enough to save the day
Just-
and save the world.
Just
Is there a place where we can buy like potions and or magical?
Yes,
I
yes,
have
it
a
is actually
potion.
the same
I have-
shop.
Oh, well then I go back
Yeah,
inside.
that was
I have
part
a
of.
potion of acid.
Yeah, Greg took over the selling of the inventory for the magical items that have been coming into the musketeers.
And the pet shop.
And it just happens. It wasn't really a pet shop. It's just like this is where they sell like animals and stuff
Right.
too.
Wait, if you want to test.
Okay, Greg.
Wait, Greg.
I'm-
Do you have any food? I don't like food. I can feed my chicken, Mr. Bokbok.
It's like yeah, we've got some chicken feed that you
How
can
much
have.
is that?
It's just 1 gold piece too.
One more. Okay, here you go.
3 gold pieces.
So Dave,
I'm
No, I
curious
said
on your
4.
magical item inventory.
well yeah, it's not as robust as it used to be. Once
People
the
been buying it up lately, huh?
once the dwarves came in, they kind of put a lockdown on how much we distribute out the magical items.
Are these the dwarves that built the fortress?
Yeah.
Why are they controlling the flow of magical items?
Well, the dwarves came in at the order of King Fireforge. He's been kind of the main patron of the musketeers, at least from what I understand of what I've heard from the other musketeers and from Doc, is that he sort of gave this mountain to Doc and the original musketeers as a sign of good faith. So he's got a lot of influence about what happens here. And, word got around that we got a lot of gold and magical stuff that came from the Zelocent Elven Kingdom after you guys had killed that dragon. And so when you get a lot of money and magical items coming in, it has a tendency to pique people's interest. And so they've been coming in and meddling around a bit more than they had before.
Interesting. Thanks for the information. What do you have available?
Well, I do have some potions here. So is there anything specific that you're looking for?
I mean, a healing potion would
Pacific?
be nice.
Did I say Pacific?
I heard specific.
I heard Pacific.
Yeah. Stop messing with me. Yeah, I've got a couple of regular healing potions. I do have one greater healing potion. That one's pretty expensive though.
What's the cost on that?
Well, that one is because of the discount. That one's only 800 gold.
And what are the regulars?
The regulars they go for about 100 gold pieces.
How many of those do you have?
I have 4 of those.
I'll take 2 of those.
So there'd be regular healing potion would be 2d4 plus 4 hit points that you would get back for that.
Thank you.
And just mechanics wise, for using those in combat, it is a action to drink a potion.
Right.
But you still have the ability to do bonus actions or reactions in that round. It's just you have to use your full action
Yep.
for drinking the potion.
Do you have any other non-healing potions? Do you have any potions that'll improve me physically or mentally?
I do have a potion of haste that's available.
How much is that?
That one's really expensive though. I mean,
much?
that one's 1,000 gold pieces.
Oh, I could have afforded it, but I can't.
But no,
now.
you had to get a Yorkie Terrier instead.
Yeah.
I have enough left over after that to carry me over for a while, so I think I'm going to take that potion of haste.
Okay.
What?
Go ahead and write it in.
You have
So
enough.
I'm down. I had 1,058 left after buying those 2 healing potions, so now I'm down to 58 gold pieces.
All right.
Oh. At least he has less than me.
Well
You
worth
should-
it though, because
you
the
should-
haste is really cool.
You should have bought an elephant.
I didn't have enough for the elephant.
Yeah, the elephant was 10,000.
10,000 gold
Oh,
pieces.
well,
Why did you make that expensive, Dad?
yeah.
Because
Yeah, Dad.
elephants are
Dad.
expensive. They're not native
it
to
was
the
a-
area of the world
it
that you're
was-
in.
It was a baby.
I know. A baby elephant is even more expensive.
More expensive, yep, exactly.
No, this is going to be their new thing. Is like always on the lookout for a baby elephant that they can get.
Let's save up for it.
You've seen a baby elephant, so now you can turn into one. Right?
I turned into a baby elephant.
Well, she would just argue that she saw an elephant at the elf zoo when she was little.
Yeah. Forgot.
No, I saw an elephant at the store when I wanted to buy one.
Well, and she does have a really great workaround with her summon animal spell. She could just like summon animals up to that certain level, right? And now she's seen the animal. Now she can turn into it.
Totally.
That's how.
Yeah.
That's why I allowed her to
That's
be able to
smart.
turn into a dinosaur herself because
Right,
she
'cause she had
summoned a
one
dinosaur.
before.
Wait, has she seen a dinosaur?
I summoned a
Allosaurus.
dinosaur, then I saw the dinosaur, then I turned into the dinosaur.
Although she did say that she saw the dinosaur at the zoo as well.
I remember. Yep.
Like, what kind of zoo is this?
An awesome zoo.
My parents owned it before,
All right,
that's
so
harsh.
I'm going to say that you have lots of downtime at Mount Olympus. So is there anyone in particular that you wanted to go
Beth.
talk to? So yeah, you've got Beth. You've got Doc.
Yeah, let's go see Beth and Doc.
There's also Blondie. He's back. And to remind you, the last time that you were in Mount Olympus, they still had that dwarf that was claiming to be Rusty locked up in the jail cells downstairs.
Who is Rusty again?
He was the gruff dwarf that
trying
that
to
you had
save
met
him.
when you had first met the musketeers, and they had found, and Rusty was killed. And suddenly there's this new Rusty that turned up, and they locked him up immediately because everyone saw Rusty was dead.
Yeah, like we were locked up, weren't we? With him, and I was trying to charm him or something.
You weren't locked up with him, but you did try and go and talk to him and
Charm percent him.
try and extract information out of him. Yeah, you tried to charm him. You, I think Mimi had cast Moonbeam on him a couple of times, trying to see if she could get him to change his form, if this was some sort of creature that just made itself look like Rusty.
Right.
You also have the Atlanteans are here now too. So those Atlantean soldiers have been sort of integrated into the Musketeers.
Let's go see Beth.
Beth,
Yeah, Dave definitely is going to want to talk to Rusty, but we can do that after we
talk to Beth.
go talk to Beth.
And Doc.
Okay. So who do you want to talk to?
Let's talk to Beth first. Yep.
Okay.
Beth.
Okay. Then, you're not quite sure where Beth would be at this point. So why don't you roll a investigation check for me, one of you, and do it with the advantage,
I'll do it.
because obviously the others would be helping with this.
Right.
I got a 19, and
Nice.
wait, my persuasion or no?
Investigation.
Plus 6, and that equals 25. And no, but it's advantage.
Yeah, so
Roll
roll
again
it
to see
again
if you
just
get
in
a
case
20.
you get a 20. Yeah.
I got 13.
Okay.
19.
So
again.
25. All right. So you actually head back up to the top of Mount Olympus, back into the opening, and you go back out through the 6 dwarven guards that are there. And Dave, roll a perception check.
I'm really good at perception.
5.
Okay. All right. So the three of you just go right through them, and they nod to you. They say hello, but they don't stop you or say anything as you go out. And you find Betha by the. Isn't that who you were looking for?
No, Beth. We're looking for Beth.
Yeah, but her name is Betha.
We call her Beth.
You call her Beth? Okay, sure. Why not?
What up, Betha?
So yeah, you find Beth. She's by the griffins, by the stables at this point in time. And she turns around and she sees you. And she goes, "It's you, you're back." And she runs over and she gives all three of you a big, big hug.
Bear hug.
Big bear hug. Where have you been?
Time traveling.
Oh,
It's
In a way.
it's quite a story.
A vampire who looked like this police officer thing.
police officer thing?
We were transported to,
A winter wonderland by this mean
it
guy
had
who
to be
was
at least
secretly
20
a
or 30
vampire.
years ago.
Jed is going to be so happy to see you.
We saw Jed. Young Jed. 20 years.
You talked to Jed since you got back?
No.
When we were back in time, Jed was about 20 years old.
Oh, that explains what Jed was talking about. Yeah, everyone just thought he was loony with the way that he was talking about it. He was just like he was talking about you, while everybody else was worried. He was just telling everybody, like, it's cool, don't worry, they'll be back. But he was always referring to, like, he was always using the wrong tense of words when he
Like
was talking
what?
about you. It was like he should be talking about the Three Musketeers, like, in the present tense. But he always referred to you as this happened or that happened, and you're going to, like, when you show up. It's like it was just a foregone conclusion. It was weird fall, but that makes a lot of sense if he knew that you went back in time.
And he knew that we were going to come back to our present time. So
Yeah, but I mean, after 2 months of nobody seeing you, people started to think that you weren't coming back. A lot of people kind of thought that you abandoned us, and that kind of made some people a little salty. But
We're going to have to show our faces around.
yeah, but Jed kept talking to everybody. He was like, chill, chillax.
well,
He's like,
Jed
they'll
was
be
right.
back.
Jed's right.
That was the word that he used. That was the word that I used. But yeah, but he's gonna be pretty happy. He's gonna be stoked that you guys are back.
Maybe we should talk to Jed.
Well, you wanted to talk to Beth. Was there anything in particular that you wanted to talk to
Do
her
you have any
about?
food?
Do you actually have some chips and salsa finally?
Okay. Her face goes stony, and she looks at Gallexsy.
Dave just slaps his.
No, I don't have any more chips and salsa for you. It's been difficult to get my hands on the ingredients for the salsa. You ate all of my salsa last time. Your eyes are a little watery. Yeah. Tears of joy. Tears of joy. All right, so where would you like? So, is there anything else that you wanted to talk to Beth about?
Well,
Or
I'm glad we saw you, and bye.
all right, so as you're about to turn, you hear and you see a dwarf go flying through the air and land in the nets of the musculators. And he lands into it. The nets spring back, hold him in place. It jostles him back and forth, and he drops to the ground onto his hands and knees, and he's breathing hard. He's red-faced.
Can I say something?
And then he stands up and goes, "Woo!"
I want to say something, Tim. Did you wet your pants?
Roll a perception check.
And I got an unnatural 20.
Okay. Yeah, you look over. You see this dwarf that's standing there. The dwarf is... Well, he has not wet his pants, but he looks... He is super excited and pumped. His face is red. He's jumping up and down and he's pumping his arms in the air. And his hair and beard are all ruffled and pulled back because he was flying through the air so fast. And he just looks thrilled to be alive.
Was he wearing a helmet?
He was not wearing a helmet. No, but one thing that you do notice is that he does look like that he's wearing like cleric's robes. Not the same as what Dave would wear, but he does look like that he might be a dwarven cleric.
Are you a cleric?
It's like, I'm a follower of Moradin.
Moradin, you say?
Yes.
Can I roll a religion check to see how much I know about Moradin?
Morgan!
Oh, no, Moradin.
I know, but Morgan. It's a place, right, Morgan?
16.
16. You would have advantage on this roll, so if you just
Oh,
want to
okay.
see if it's better.
Morgan a place?
No, it wasn't better.
Okay. So, yeah, you don't know much about it, but you do know that Moradin is like the chief deity of the dwarves.
Is he a god of anything in particular, like the Forge or anything like that?
He is one of, like Mishakal, he is one of the greater gods. And his domains are over creation, earth, good, law, and protection. Those are the areas that he has oversight to. And as actually, based off of that role, that's all you know. You just know that he's the chief deity of the dwarves, and that
A great, powerful god indeed.
Yeah, most dwarven clerics that you know of are clerics of Moradin.
But
As
okay,
I said, my name is Dave. What's your name?
My name is Orsic Lordir, but you can call me Orsic. Or Orsic. My friends call me Or.
Ursula.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Or, and I put out my little hand.
He shakes your hand, heartily.
If you have some time later, I would love to actually consult with you about something. We recently handled an item that left us with a bit of a curse, and I was able to beseech Mishikal to remove the curse from my friends here, but I was unable to remove the curse from myself.
And that's when his eyes come down and he sees the great axe that's in your hands.
I wasn't carrying it around.
Where did you put it then?
I left it in my room.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I didn't want to carry the cursed axe around with me.
Okay.
I thought about taking it with me in like a satchel, but then I decided just to leave it.
Okay.
I should have said that before.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially with all the looks that the axe got
Right.
when I first got there, and the fact that it's cursed, I just didn't want it on me.
Okay. So going back then, so you were asking him, wanting to have some sort of conversation with
If
him.
he has some time later, we could consult. And maybe he could help me. Maybe we could beseech our gods together and remove the curse.
He claps you on the shoulder. He's like, I'd be happy to help you, Dave. He's like, I've heard a lot about you. You've been away from Mount Olympus for a while now.
Yeah, we've been gone for a few months, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I'm newly arrived here myself. It's we've been helping out with the injured and the sick, and using our great powers of Moradin to help do maintenance around the place. But in our free time, we've taken to the musketeers here. These are quite a lot of fun.
Yeah, I rode one once myself. I don't know if fun is what I would have called it, but I admire you for finding it fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just the clerics of Moradin that have been riding these things on a regular basis. It's we know Moradin will protect the faithful. So I think that's the reason why most people don't like to use them.
Your faith is strong. Let me ask you, how much do you know about the good word of Mishikal?
You can't convert me. I know all the tricks. How much do you know about Moradin? He's a pretty fantastic god. Look, he
I know
protects
that
me
he
every
is
time I go in the
chief amongst the
musculator.
ladies.
This is
Indeed,
my
he does.
15th trip, and I haven't harmed a hair.
You must be a little bit cracked. I'm not gonna lie.
I think he's going crazy. Let's go to Jed.
All right, so you wanna try and find Jed next.
Yeah, because
I tell Or where my apartments are, and I ask him to meet me there later, and he and I can try and remove the curse again.
Okay. All right. Who's going to do the investigation now to find Jed?
I will help you. No,
No, you get help, so you just roll advantage with it.
I have an investigation plus 6.
I got 19.
You got 19. All right. So you do find Jed at one of the watering holes that is inside Mount Olympus. The name of this watering hole is called There's This Guy.
There's this guy, Jed. There's this guy, Jed.
It's called There's This Guy Pup. And it's got a sign out front, and it has the picture on it is just a lonely patron sitting at the end of a bar holding up a mug of ale. So you go walking in, and you can hear Jed talking, and he looks like maybe he's a little inebriated, but he seems very joyful, very happy. He's talking very loudly at the other end of the bar.
Hola, Jed.
And he turns around and he stops in mid-sentence. He seems to be telling a story about his adventures in getting over to this continent. He's like, when I was sailing across the seas, not many of my kind or from my villages come across. And then he hears Mimi's voice, and he stops, and he turns. My friends! And he leaps out of his stool, and he actually knocks another patron to the floor. And he doesn't notice, and he comes over because and Jed, just as big as you remember, 7.5 feet tall. He gets that extra 6 inches because of the horns on his head. But he's 7 feet tall, but They get added in there too, and it's the old Jed that you remember. The copper skin is all there. It looks maybe a little duller than the last time that you saw him. It's like now you can sort of pick out the details of how Dragonborn age. It's like the scales kind of just lost their luster a little bit. They're just not as shiny as they were before, and he's, as you originally remember him, he's filled out a bit more. He's not all knees and elbows like the young Jed was. It's like he's got more meat on his bones, and he is more imposing now in this form because he is just all around just a big guy. And he comes over and he gives you a big bear hug. He picks all three of you up off of the ground, which actually is not that hard because both of you girls are only like 5 feet tall, like 90 pounds, and Dave is 3 feet tall.
Right.
So picking up all three of you is not that large of a task for him to do.
My height is 5.1.
You're 5'1". Okay.
I'm 5'1" also, and I'm 100 pounds.
Yes.
Same. I'm 100 pounds.
My friends, you are back. You are back. It is so good to see you.
So good to see you
too, Jed.
We haven't seen you.
We were with you actually.
I know, but for me, that was ages ago.
And you
very
still remember that day? Because we do not remember that.
I'm sorry?
So when we first met you, did you notice? Well, not first met you, but in today's form, did you recognize us?
Of course.
Oh.
If you recall, when I first met you, I talked about the legends of the heroes, the 3 heroes. I didn't say musketeers at that time because I didn't want to give too much away. The elders of my village, they had warned me about how much information that I could give to you, but he reaches behind himself and he pulls out his pocket and he pulls out the blue holocube. And it looks dustier. It looks a little bit more worn than you remember. But he's like, you gave me this, and that saved me. Thank you.
Thank Mishakal. She gave me the inspiration to give it to you.
So,
Jed?
you're back.
Yes. Jed, I would like you to meet Mr. Bok.
You're carrying Mr. Bok around with you inside his cage.
I got this chicken fruit.
It's just okay. You know how in we'll say the movie Moana and how like
Actually, Mr. Bok is a girl. It's a hen. It's not a rooster that you have.
Mr.
But
Bok.
it's still
the
Mr.
chicken.
It's still Mr. Bok. Okay.
But you know the chicken in Moana.
Yep.
It could kind of look like that because the eyes is kind of crazy. It does seem like Mr. Backpack.
It's the crazy chicken.
I think the chicken in Moana was a rooster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know.
Well, still, it's his eyes
Doesn't
are
matter.
like crazy.
This is the beautiful Mr.
So Mr. Bok is cross-eyed? Are we making that canon?
No, cross-eyed the other side, not like this, but like could be like
Oh, so
that way.
Outweighted,
they
outward.
point in different directions.
Mr. Bok's a normal chicken.
Okay, Mr. Bok is a normal chicken. Okay.
I
Nice to meet you, Mr. Bok.
I got him, his cage, and his food for only 4 coins.
Wow, that sounds like a really good deal.
And meet Abby.
Abby, nice to meet you. And I forgot to mention that Abby apparently is completely already trained in housebroken.
Oh, nice.
She is so.
That was one of the reasons why that Yorkie Terrier was so expensive.
I just want to
Makes
say it's a dark Yorkie Terrier. It's not like a blonde one.
Okay.
It has a pink little bow in its hair.
It's a pink little. Oh, okay.
So cute.
That's adorable.
I know.
All right. Is there anything else or anybody else that you like to go and talk to?
I would like to talk
Dave
to
wants
Doc.
to talk to Rusty.
I want to talk to Doc.
Want to talk to Doc?
I wanna
Okay.
Well, let's talk to
And
Rusty
then meet up
first.
with
I wanna talk
Thor
to
later.
Doc. I want to talk to Doc.
Okay.
Doc.
So, the general's quarters where Doc is at is actually on the way down to the restricted area where the prison cells are. Bertie, I need you to roll because there's going to be a passage of time. So I need you to roll. So a lot of people are not going to be really that thrilled with you piecing together dead body parts to create your golem. So you're going to have to sneak out during the week to get these body parts from the pet shop. So I'm going to have to. So I'm gonna make you do a couple of sneak checks.
Stealth.
Yeah.
I'm not good at. I'm not the best at stealth.
Yep. So let's have you do your first stealth
Okay.
check.
5.
You got an 8. All right. So okay, we'll get to that. So you failed the first check.
Like someone, hey, why are you carrying a dead corgi?
Well, I'm trying to put him to life because he had a very sad life.
You're doing him a favor.
Yeah, I'm doing him a favor. He asked right before he died, right when I died, can you piece me together?
Then maybe he says, I didn't know corgis can talk.
All right, we'll get to that. All right. So, but for now, so you go down. So the next level down inside Mount Olympus is where you get down to. Well, you get down to the general's quarters, but it's also the same level that your quarters are on. So this is where most of the officers and the soldiers of the musketeers are stationed at. But Doc, she has a larger office and larger quarters compared to everyone
That's like
else.
a suite of rooms instead of just a room.
That's right.
And
But
just kids all
they're still
over.
not that fancy. They're still pretty minimalist. But given her station within the musketeers, she has the largest quarters.
Sorry.
So she greets you, very happy, just like everybody else. And she's like, Jed kept saying that you would return to us. And I never, ever lost faith. It's so good to see. Thank Mishakal
see
for
you.
your
Well,
return.
Yes, thank Mishakal indeed.
So what happened was a vampire who was disguised as someone else here brought us to this place. And then
Well, you had also found out that it was actually Christopherson is the vampire.
Right.
That came out in the last couple of adventures that you put
That was
those two and two together.
Christopherson was disguised and brought us to a winter wonderland.
Winter Wonderland.
Back in time, and we actually met young Jed when he was like in his 20s, so that's why he was saying that. And then we came back, and it was only a week we were there, but to you guys it was 3 months.
Yes, it's been 3 months
Yes, we were
since anyone has seen
transported
you.
through space and time, and it was only through the use of an ancient artifact that we were able to get back here.
An ancient artifact, you say?
Yes, it's an axe.
Where is this artifact
My
now?
room right now.
Her eyes
Would
go.
you like to see it?
Her eyes go a little wide, and she's like, "Yes, right now."
Okay. I was able to remove the curse from Gallexsy and Mimi, but I've been unable to remove it from myself.
Did any of the dwarves see this axe as you were
When
coming?
we first got here, I was holding it.
What was their reaction to it?
They were all staring at me. I
All right,
run back to my room.
Okay,
Because
Like full speed, I'm dashing.
all right.
we know that the cause of it, if you do get cursed from it, you do start turning into a dwarf.
What an odd curse, she says.
Because I had put it in like a sack and put it in my closet, basically.
Yep.
So yeah, I go running back to my room to get the axe.
Your room has been tossed. It's gone.
Whoops.
What?
That was an accident.
The axe is gone?
Gonna have to bleep that out.
Like, axe is gone?
the the dwarven axe is gone.
Why?
Preserve us.
Then the axe suddenly disappears.
And that's when Doc she shakes her head and says the king has been. He hasn't told it to the musketeers, but it seems like that the dwarven soldiers have standing orders from the king to gather up any magical items that they can get their hands on.
Greg was telling us something similar to that.
So if my wand or anything is out, will they take it?
If you don't keep track of it, they very well might.
Okay, I'm gonna keep all my stuff in my backpack and my pockets.
Oh, Dan, that reminds me. So at some point in time during the next couple of days, if Greg does find you, and so I'm sorry that we're kind of all over the place, but I'm trying to like knock out a couple of different things like during this week of downtime that you have. And Greg does he hung on to one particular magical item. Or Greg did hang on to one particular magical item specifically for you, Gallexsy, because
It's a love potion.
he's a little sweet on you.
I know that, and I do not really like it.
He hanged on to a love potion.
And he says, so it's a bag, but it's a bag that he says that he can sew into your unicorn butt backpack, and it will turn your unicorn butt backpack into a bag of holding.
Like, so if I dig into it, anything can be in there.
No.
Not anything, but
Well, it's like nothing's in there, right?
well, no. The way that it works is that it makes it so that inside a little backpack you could store a lot of things.
You could store
Yeah.
Mr. Backpack!
So what?
It's like 64 cubic feet or a certain amount of weight.
Okay, cut what I'm...
I think it's like 500 pounds.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Cut
But
what
it
I'm-
only weighs like 20 pounds to you.
So the thing with it though is, so it can hold a lot of stuff in it, but there's a limited amount of air in it. So there's only about 10 minutes of air that's breathable inside the bag of holding.
Right. So if you put something alive in there,
It will only be alive for 10 minutes and then it will suffocate.
right.
I could put Mr. Backpack in there for 10 minutes and take him out, then put him back, and then take him out, and
But
then put him back.
but once you finish building your golem, you could actually store your golem in the bag of holding because it doesn't
It
require
need to
air.
breathe. Right.
Okay, what kind of made me think of that is... Okay, please cut this out, because you've seen the first Harry Potter part 1 for the...
Yeah.
Okay, so I can say it. Because the bag that Hermione has, that like has all these stuff in it.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Okay.
That was a bag of holding.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
what I was imagining.
Yep. And
That's
so
awesome.
so now you're exactly like that. Like where you reach into this bag and the bag stops here, but it looks like you pull out like a 10-foot long pole.
Like Mary Poppins.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, does she have one?
Bag of
Those
holding?
bags?
Sure. Yeah. It seems like Mary Poppins has a lot of very powerful magical items that she just nonchalantly breaks out whenever she feels like it. So that was one of the things. So Greg looks very pleased with himself that he was able to turn your unicorn butt backpack into a bag of holding, and
He should be pleased with himself.
he's all smiley and puppy-eyed looking at you because
Right.
again he's got a bit of a crush on Gallexsy.
I
I love the look on your face right now.
now.
Too bad it's an audio medium.
Please. Someone help me, please.
So, but he gives it to you and helps put it in your bag, and then he's like, "I'll see you later, Gallexsy," and he walks off.
Bye.
All right, so now getting back to the interaction with Doc.
Okay.
Dave comes running back into the room out of breath. It's gone. They've taken it. But I think I don't know if I might need it to remove this curse for myself.
Roll an Arcana check or a religion check, whichever is better for you.
Natural 20.
Natural 20.
Oh, yeah!
Super Boy does it again.
You're fairly certain that you don't need the axe
Okay.
to lift the curse.
But still.
Yeah, it was just a powerful curse. It's a powerful magical artifact, and it just resisted you that one time.
Right.
But you're fairly confident that if you just give it another go, keep trying, eventually you should
I'll
be
get
able
it.
to get it off of you. And if you have Or's help, the other cleric,
Yeah.
you think that it should be no problem in getting that removed.
So
I
Morgan,
have to say that, I understand that this King Fireforge wields influence here because of the donations he's given to the musketeers in the past, but that doesn't give him the right to ransack people's rooms and take their belongings.
Yeah.
He could have at least asked us to turn the axe over. And
Yeah.
who says he's not the leader of the musketeers anyway?
so I got an idea.
He's a lobbyist, basically.
No, but listen, that guy who took it, if he touches it, he'll be cursed.
If he uses it, if he tries to use the magic that's on the axe, then he would be cursed. But just simply having it in your possession does not curse you. Just holding it does not curse you.
And I would think, and the person who stole it would probably be a dwarf. So if it did curse him, he'd still be a dwarf.
So you have no evidence on who actually took it, but based off of what you've heard and the dwarves coming in and King Fireforge starting to flex his muscles as far as influence in this area, I would say that's probably a pretty good guess that it was a dwarf that had watched you, had followed you, and had seen Dave come in with the axe and then leave without it.
And so it
So
makes
foolish of
sense. Like, if he did use it, nothing would really happen.
So Doc also says it's
Why would I
Fireforge.
think someone would steal from me in the very heart of the musketeers.
Well, things have been changing around here.
Not for the better. Well, it's a good thing we came back when we did.
The good news is that we have been getting more support from the dwarves. It's like we now have more soldiers and resources than we've ever had before, and so we've been able to take on more and more missions and be able to fight evil creatures and have more bodies to throw at more problems. So it has been helping us, but because of that, King Fireforge is like his payment has been to take some of the magical items, and as we could see, is like some of his soldiers have been more zealous with it than others.
If I had been asked to turn over the axe, I would have done so gladly. The fact that it was taken from my room does not sit well with me. I understand.
What do you know about the relic that you had in your possession in the first place?
I mean, we didn't know much. We knew it was able to allow us to transport through time and space.
She says, "Can you describe it for me? What did it look like?"
I'd do my best to describe it.
Okay. So yeah, it was a large two-headed battle axe that was comically large in your hands.
Right.
But it was very light. It was gold and it was covered in gems.
That's right.
So there was like a layer of like diamonds and then a layer of rubies and emeralds and sapphires, and it was like the entire one side of the blade was covered in gems. And it was almost gaudy looking with how many jewels were embedded in this thing.
Yeah.
And so as you describe that to Doc, her eyes get really wide and she's like, that would explain why they took it.
Do you know what this axe is?
I believe from what you described, that is the long lost axe of the Dwarven Lords.
Oh my.
They would have risked anything to get that back. It's been lost for generations.
I would like to think that I'm well regarded amongst the musketeers, which is why it does not sit right with me that it was just taken from my room. Had any superior to me asked me to turn it over, I would have done so, and honestly, if this king had asked me for it, I would have given it to him. But it was taken from my room. And
Dave,
I
we
don't
need to
like
tread
this.
lightly with this. The dwarves, King Fireforge, they would have viewed this axe as their birthright.
I have
They
no
would have
problem.
hailed you as a hero for bringing it back, and they probably still will. But if you try and bring up that it was stolen from you,
It wasn't
They
stolen
might-
from me because I did not consider it my possession. I don't like that my privacy. I'm not going to cause trouble over this. I'm not getting angry. I'm just saying that something about this situation isn't right. If instead of coming to someone who is well regarded in the musketeers and asking them, I would have gladly handed over this axe to them. Instead, they felt the need to go behind my back and take it. I just am stating that
and
something's not right here.
understood, and I agree. It's something that we're going to have to address, but there are bigger things at play with this.
I understand, and
Especially
I will follow
now.
your lead as usual, Beth.
Because if this is the axe of Dwarven Lords, King Fireforge might actually be able to unite all of the Dwarven clans under his rule.
And that could be a wonderful thing.
It could be, but that is a lot of power.
Indeed. But, yeah.
So let me worry about that. I'm very sorry that this had happened.
I guess, if anything, I just feel a little offended.
They may not even know that. They may not even know that it was who you were. They
We
might
told them our names.
the dwarves that
The dwarves who saw me with it knew who I was.
well, there are a lot of. So again, to clarify, there are a lot of
Or were
dwarves
told
now
who I was.
everywhere
Yeah.
inside Mount Olympus. Now there's like there are like more dwarves than any other race in Mount Olympus now,
Gotcha.
and a lot of them, the majority of them, are wearing the standard issue armor from the Fireforge Kingdom.
Gotcha.
So they're not musketeers. They are soldiers of the Fireforge Kingdom. And so it could have been those first soldiers that you ran into, or it could have been anybody else
Yeah.
that saw you along the way.
Gotcha.
So they may not have known that
Yeah.
you are the
And it-
legendary Three Musketeers.
But like I said too, it's less about being offended. It's more about the fact that without ego, Dave knows that we have renown with the Musketeers and that we're known as good guys.
Yep.
And so for someone to feel like they need to steal something from me, especially something like that where it's like it is in a way it belongs with the dwarves. And Dave wouldn't have fought against that. And so he just
because of the fact that how they went
yeah,
around.
the whole thing is just not sitting right with him.
Right, yeah, because your privacy absolutely was invaded. It's like your room was tossed. It's like
Yeah, for no
they,
reason.
They
I
went
mean, he
through
would've-
all of your things in the desk and like flipped your bed open
Right.
and went in your closet, and you could tell they hands were laid on all of your possessions.
Right.
So
All right.
moving things along. Not great what just happened. But Doc does tell you it's like she's not looking for you to do any work or any missions. It's great to have you back, especially after hearing what you went through in the last couple of weeks, or from her perspective in the last couple of months. So she wants you to take time off, take advantage of the resources available in Mount Olympus, get used to being back home, rest, relax, and just let her know when you're ready to go back to work, and
I'm
she will have missions for you. So, Galaxy, can you roll another stealth check for me?
Yes, sir.
Well, actually, no. Let's go back to. So I want to say like that night. We're jumping around in the time frame a little
Yeah.
bit. So you failed that first stealth check,
Yeah.
right? So you went back to the pet shop after it was closed, and so you try going in the back, and the back door is open, and you slink on inside. Galaxy, what are you doing here? How are you liking that bag of holding I made for you? The unicorn butt backpack, is that working pretty great?
Yeah, it's working really good.
What? I was just closing up. What can I do for you?
Can I get the corgi parts of the dead corgi?
You want the bodies?
I'm making a minion of corgi.
Okay. Could all right. So this kind of magic is a little frowned upon by people. They're not super thrilled about people messing with the dead and putting them back together. So can you roll a? Oh man! Normally I would say that you would get this roll with disadvantage, but because it's Greg, just do a straight up persuasion roll.
Okay, persuasion.
Persuasion, yes.
Okay, I'm bad persuasion. Forever I get an 8.
An 8. What do you add to it?
0.
0. Okay.
You could say add something in it, like I'll give you a little present.
So Greg's like, that doesn't sound like a great idea. I think Doc might have issue with someone messing with the dead, even if they're animals.
It's gonna be fine. They protect stuff. We want Mount Olympus to be protected, don't we?
Yes, that's a great answer.
And that's why the reason I want to have it.
Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry, Galaxy. I can't let you do it. And he looks beaten up by this. He is broken up that he has to tell you no. He's like, I think you should go.
Okay, bye. I'm not coming back.
Okay.
At least-
Sorry.
I'm not coming back today.
He shuts the door and you hear it lock behind you. Now, I want you to roll another stealth check. This is going to be you going back at another point in time.
Okay, this is not my lucky day, so bye-bye.
Spit on it. For good luck.
No, shine it up, shine it up.
You're supposed to blow on dice
Yeah.
for good luck.
Okay, here it goes. Wait, what is it? Stealth?
Yes.
19!
19. Do you add anything to it?
Yeah.
It
Plus
was
3.
16 plus 3.
16 plus 3. Okay. 19. Awesome. All right. Yeah. So you go back another night, and
You're the same day.
You go back the same day?
No.
All right, you go back another night and you time it so to make sure that Greg is not there, and you're able to get in. It looks like he forgot to lock the back door again. And you get inside, yeah, and you pick up some of the corgi dead body parts.
I hate hearing this.
And yeah, you load them up in a basket and you cover them up, and yeah, you get
No,
out
I
of there.
put it in my unicorn backpack.
Oh, sure, yeah. Okay, well, if that's the case, then
The blood's gonna.
no, that's great that you pointed
Take
that
all
out.
the parts
That-
you
that
need.
you get all the parts. I was gonna make you come back multiple times to get all the parts that you needed for, but yeah, since you have
I'm smart.
and humble.
Indeed.
No, Humble's my middle name.
Yeah.
No, Hustle's my middle name.
Modest then. Yeah, you gather up all the parts that you need, and so then you spend your evenings for the rest of the week actually performing the ritual.
Performing.
So before we get to that, so you wanted to go see Rusty, right?
Yes.
So you go down to the lowest level of Mount Olympus. This is the restricted area. This is where you go to get weapons and armor, and this is also where they have the jail cells. And you get down to the jail cell that you were very familiar with when you tried to talk to Rusty that first time. And that's when there was that werewolf attack
Oh, yeah,
that
I
had
know that.
happened. And that's actually what sent you on that one arc of fighting the werewolves and going after Harkin,
Yep.
the leader of the werewolves.
Right, that's right.
And that's right. And Mimi got
Mimi got
cursed.
turned into a werewolf until we took Harkin out.
Right.
Yeah.
So you go down.
Wait. I have a question.
Sure.
So the man who saved me
Destroyed him.
when I was a werewolf, will he come back and save us again or something? Because I have a feeling he's coming back.
Eventually.
It's probably
Eventually.
a good feeling.
Yeah, his name was On.
Han.
On.
On. Let's get on with it. On.
You got it.
Turn on.
The opposite of off. He's on. He's always on.
Yeah. He's on to it.
So, refresh my memory. How did our first conversation with Rusty go? Did we not really get to talk much because of the attack?
It's correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, your talk got interrupted because of the werewolf attack that had happened. And Mimi had also cast a number of different moonbeams on trying to get him to transform into something else, and it
Yeah.
wasn't happening. And he was just rolling really, really good on his saving throws and all the spells you were throwing at him at the time. But all of you are more powerful, more experienced now, so who knows? But you do get down there.
I get Moonbeam ready.
You get moonbeam, you prepare the spell. But you get down there and you see that it is no longer Rusty that is in the jail cell. There is another creature that is standing in this cell. And you recognize this creature from the Zeloshin Castle. It is a doppelganger. You remember encountering one of these. Someone was mimicking Jed
Yep.
and attacked you from behind in the bowels of that castle when you were going to fight the Black Dragon. And I'm not going to make you roll for it because I think it would just suddenly click now that this guy that said he was Rusty has always been a doppelganger.
Yeah.
I see you've reverted to your original form.
He's like, Dave, so good to see you again.
Yeah.
You can just hear the sliminess in his voice and
Wish I could say
a
the
little
same.
too familiar.
Yeah.
Wish I could say the same.
yeah. Yeah. I don't like you.
Birdie's like a little kid,
Yeah.
So, and his alien-looking eyes goes over all three of you, and he squints for a little bit. He's like, "You've grown since the last time I saw you. I'm not able to. Interesting. What can I do for the famous Three Musketeers?" And he gives a little bow, and he transforms, and he turns into Gallexsy.
Spare us your tricks.
I like this form. What can I say?
Wait, is he wearing a unicorn butt backpack?
He is wearing a unicorn butt backpack.
Wait, is there another Abby?
No, there is not another Abby. And Abby is just sitting on the floor next to you,
Abby?
very dutifully.
What about Mr. Backpack?
Mr. Bokbok, if you have Mr. Bokbok with you,
I do.
She's in her cage.
Where's Tiny Ginger?
Tiny Ginger is up top in the stables.
Enjoying some oats.
Yes, in the fresh open air.
I put some chicken food in Mr. Bokbok's cage.
Okay.
How
It would just fall through the cage because it's an open cage.
I set his cage on the ground.
Okay, he starts bark, bark. He starts pecking at the
And Mr.
ground.
Bokbok's starting to like me. He's like, yeah.
Is it? Why don't you?
No, but I'm.
You have to roll an animal handling though.
Yeah, roll an animal handling. Good call on that.
Seriously?
Yep.
Sorry, not trying to step on your toes.
No.
but
That's perfect. Roll
But
animal handling.
I'm a druid.
I know,
Yeah.
but chickens normally can't be trained to do stuff.
No, he's just gonna train to be like. He's gonna like me. I got a good roll.
What'd you get?
21.
21. Okay. Yeah, you can tell Mr. Bokbok he's absolutely warming up to you.
Like.
She.
She, yes.
She.
Thank you. calling her Mister throws me off.
Oh yeah.
Can't Mr.
Really
Bokbok-
weird.
No, Mr. Bokbok was a girl, but he changed so he's a boy now.
Well, all right. This is getting us into some interesting territory with the pronouns.
Yeah.
How did Mr. Bokbok change into a boy?
He asked Michikal.
Or does Mr. Bokbok just identify as a male?
No, he calls himself a boy. He's just like, oh, boy.
Okay.
Well, that's fine.
All right.
That's fine.
So yeah, but Mr. Bokbok would still lay eggs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
He's a father.
Okay.
I talked to this person we've met before. Now try turning into Abby, see if that's comfortable.
I'm sorry, who's Abby? And it is a little unsettling to hear this doppelganger now speak to you in your own voice.
Oh, well, it is this precious dog that is not yours.
Oh, that is such a precious dog.
Stop mimicking me in a way.
I'm sorry, what is your Yorkie's name again?
Abby.
Abby. So Abby actually is starting to look a little confused, and Abby is looking back and forth between you and you that's now in the jail cell. And she starts to whine a little bit, unsure of what it is that she should do.
Let's leave.
It's okay, Abby. And I pick her up.
Was there any questions that you wanted to ask this doppelganger?
Yes. So, tell me, what was your purpose in coming here disguised as Rusty? Were you merely trying to infiltrate us?
Christofferson asked me to come. But yes, he wanted to spy. He just wanted to see what you were up to. He wanted to keep tabs on you because he loves all three of you very, very much. All of you are very important to his plans.
Oh, for him to kill us, isn't that right?
No, far from it. No. He's doing everything he can to protect you. You are critical to his plans.
Are you sure? Because that black dragon was trying to kill us, and that's Christofferson's.
Do I think that he's telling the truth?
Roll an insight.
Oh, dang it.
10.
10.
I'll do another
It's
4
insight.
plus 6.
It's hard to say. Just by the nature of this creature, it's hard to trust anything that comes out of its mouth.
I'll do an insight too.
I cast Zone of Truth.
Oh, Zone of Truth.
Oh, yeah.
So now with Zone of Truth, I believe that the creature could
Charisma
choose.
saving throw.
The creature could choose just not to answer.
Yeah, he's not compelled to answer if it's just that he can't speak a lie. And so he'll roll a charisma saving throw versus my DC, which is 14.
Do you know if it makes it or not? Oh, yes. You know whether each creature succeeds or fails on its saving throw, so yes. And so you cast it, and the magic sprinkles over the area, and Gallexsy's face scrunches up a little bit as this creature looks around in the cell, and almost like it's in a little bit of pain, but then its shoulders relax a little bit, and it looks at you, and it gives you a wink. You know that it resisted Zone of Truth. So just like before, there's something about this creature. Well, it's just getting really good rolls. But there's something about this creature that's been allowing it to just resist the spells that you throw at it.
I'm gonna do an insight.
Okay. Well, what is it that you're trying to gather from?
See if he's lying.
Okay.
I got 16.
16. So very similar to Dave. It's hard to trust anything that comes out of this creature's mouth. You do think that there was a nugget of truth in there about Christofferson thinking that the three of you are very important. Love, however, is not something, that one's hard to swallow. But you do take it at face value that Christofferson does have plans for the three of you, and they're important plans.
To kill us.
Let's leave. I don't like this guy.
We will speak again.
I pick up
And then the
Abby.
creature turns into Mimi as you're leaving.
Stop moving your
And then you see yourself waving to you, saying, "Bye, Mimi. Good to see you."
Bye, whoever you are. Bye.
Villain.
Come on, Abby. That's not. You don't trust him. Only trust me.
Annie.
He smells disgusting.
Birdie,
Yeah.
can you roll a Arcana check for me? Because this is you getting your experiments together. You've been working on this throughout the week, gathering the corgi parts together. 24. Okay.
Ooh.
All right. So, Dave and Mimi, sometime towards the end of the week that you've been resting up and getting used to things again back in Mount Olympus.
Did I get the curse removed?
You did.
Okay.
You did eventually get the curse removed. With the help of that other cleric with Orsic. And you and Or get along swimmingly.
Yeah,
you guys
I thought he and I might become buddies.
You guys have, in the last couple of days you've had some brewskis together and
Nice.
shared some stories and
Well, I'm sitting in
he-
the corner drinking whiskey.
he keeps trying to talk you into going on the musculator again. And true to his word, it's like, yeah, he keeps going on it just for the thrill of it, and he keeps saying that
I
it's,
go on the musculator.
his God protects him. It's like and of course he uses it as an opportunity to try and bring you over to his side of the faith. It's just like
Sure.
look how much
feel like-
Morden is protecting.
Yeah, I
the
feel like
people
that would be
serve
like
him.
a lot of our conversations would be like kind of like half jokingly trying to convert each other to the
Right.
other's deity.
I want to ride the musculator.
You want to go on the musculator?
I would never do it because I want my pants.
All right. So, getting used to life again in Mount Olympus, you're meeting some of the new dwarves and things like that. And it still doesn't sit great with you that your room was tossed. But most of the dwarves that you meet are very, very friendly and have heard about you and are just really glad that you're back, because you three are like the most famous musketeers there are.
How did we get famous again?
You killed the Aldor, the black dragon. And so you have been the most successful musketeers at fighting evil creatures. So yeah, you are the superstars of the musketeers.
Yeah.
So getting used to it and sort of getting used to being sort of celebrities in Mount Olympus. Towards the end of the week, middle of the night, Dave, Mimi, you get woken up by thunder. Just boom. And the mountain shakes.
I feel like you know what this is.
And it sounds like it came from the very next room, from Gallexsy's room.
Yeah, Dave hastily throws on a robe, grabs his mace, and runs over into Gallexsy's room.
Okay.
He always has his holy symbol on.
So Gallexsy, you're in your room, and you had set up that evening. You'd set up a table with lightning rods around it, and you've last couple of days you've been meticulously stitching together the corgi parts. And you've got a pretty good semblance of a corgi that's there, but the stitches, they stand out. Some of the limbs are a little bigger than they should be for the body, because some of the legs, you had to choose the best ones that would work for this ritual. And so, and the corgi, you had to use kind of like half the face from one corgi and half the face from another. And so it's a little mix match that's there, and the ears, they're a little lopsided, but you did a pretty good job.
Wait, what? what color corgis are they?
It's like the body is a mixture of all the different colors of
So
corgis.
the brown corgis, the husky corgis,
Yep.
the regular corgis.
Yep. No, you did have to use the eye from another type of dog, so it's got a mismatched color of eyes. So it's got a brown eye and a blue eye.
Aw.
Like David Bowie. Well, he was like blue and green.
Yeah, and you did have to get the tail from a different kind of dog as well. So its tail.
Wait, is the butt the same?
The butt is the same,
Is that the best part?
but it's got like a large black lab tail on it. So it's got the corgi butt, but it's got a big black lab tail on the end of it.
I have a printed corgi butt. It's in our
And-
on our little telephone stand right now.
And so you've got everything ready, following the magic tome of flesh golems for creating one.
Gallexsy, what is this?
You know that the last step is to jolt the body awake. And in fact, you had to implant little metal connectors, bolts in the neck of this body.
Corgi!
And
Corgi.
so you had it out.
Corgenstein.
You had it.
Nice.
You have your
That's the one.
Corgi Stein out on this table with a blanket over it. It's surrounded by lightning rods, and the lightning rods are connected to wires that you have hooked up to the bolts in its neck. And you know that the last step for completing the ritual is to have a lot of electricity shoot through those lightning rods and into the body to make it come awake. So the last step, you cast lightning bolt. Boom! And it hits the rods and it shoots all around it. The air in the room lights up in a flash as the lightning sparks and trickles down through the lightning rods and through the wires into the body. And that's when Dave and Mimi walk in. And then the lightning fades.
What?
You can feel the crackle in the air. Your hair is standing on end in this room right now. And they walk in and see your just hair sticking out in every direction.
How about my hair is kind of like a mad scientist way?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm wearing a coat.
You got a lab coat on?
No,
Nice.
it's a unicorn. It's a unicorn coat.
Oh my gosh,
It's a
yes.
unicorn
Like,
coat. Albert Einstein, how his hair was all kind of crazy up and stuff. My hair's kind of like that because, the electricity and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You put hairspray to keep it that way.
So Dave and Mimi, you walk in and you see this scene. And then that's when you notice the tail start to move. Or something starts to move underneath the sheet on the table.
What's the line?
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
What's alive?
The corgi
And that's when you see this
munchkin.
big black tail come out of the edge of the sheet and start moving back and forth. And it slowly raises up underneath the sheet, and the sheet slides down off of the side, and there is your Franken Corgi.
Mishakal, preserve us,
It's
Gallexsy. What have you
It's
done?
Corgenstein.
Corgenstein?
I'm gonna name I came up with the name.
Gonna name him Boom?
Because all the lightning. No, boom, 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 boom.
I like Boom. I like Boom.
Just boom, 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 boom.
Boom, the Corgi Stein.
Corgenstein.
Corgenstein, okay.
I made up the name.
So Boom looks at you and pants with its tongue out, and
It's green tongue.
it's a green tongue. It's green tongue that's a little large for its mouth. It's a little off-putting because it's like it's a bunch of pieces of dogs from different sizes and different corgis that you had put together. But there it is. There's Boom. Dungeons & Dragons & Daughters is a proud member of the Black Party Podcast Network. Check out our other shows such as the Dungeon Masters Block, the GM Showcase, Geek Wars, and more.